they're going to be a little bit ghetto until then. Here we go. We are on.
Okay. Well, welcome back to the Unpopular Playground. Today we are going to be talking about workplace safety secrets no one tells you. Um, Work shouldn't cost you your health or your life. In this episode of our personal safety series, we're exposing the hidden hazards and unspoken risks young adults face on the job. Whether you're in an office, warehouse, retail, or gig work, employers won't always warn you about the dangers, from toxic environments to sketchy situations with coworkers or customers. Um, we'll break down red flags most people ignore, how to assert boundaries and rights you may not know you have, because getting home safe shouldn't rely on luck, and some of the things that I have as far as tips. Make sure you keep your work area clean and organized. You want to make sure that there's no risk for injury in your work area space. Um, Make sure that there's no clutter that you can trip over, fall, slip. Also, wear appropriate safety equipment. If you're working in the medical field, of course, they have personal protective gear that you have to wear. If you're in a factory, they also have personal protective gear. Just make sure that you wear the equipment necessary to protect you from the environment that you're working in. Always follow safety precautions and procedures at your place of employment. These should be provided for you in your training, as well as they should have things hanging on the walls all around to reinstate what these safety precautions and procedures are. Also, be alert to your surroundings. Identify hazards and report any unsafe conditions or accidents. Don't be afraid. So you see something and you don't think it's right, even if it's somebody else's workstation, report it right away, because an injury to somebody else could also trickle down the line and cause an injury to you. Or if you're
Mm.
in a factory and you're working along, say, a conveyor line, and something that's hazardous at the top of that line, that's going to trickle on down to you. So make sure if you notice it, report it right away. You're not only saving your life, but you're saving everybody else's as well. When you're working, take regular breaks to avoid fatigue. There's nothing worse than being working and tired and you lose your concentration and things get by, and that's how accidents happen. So you always need to stay alert,
Mm-hmm.
and every job is required to give you so many breaks for so many hours of work. You take them and you use them. Do not let anybody tell you that you're not entitled to these breaks, because it is the law. And if they don't give you the breaks, you can file suit, because I've been at a company
Mm-hmm.
where we did, and
We
it was,
got money.
it was very profitable. You want to
Yeah.
also use your tools and machinery correctly. When you take jobs, they show you, I mean, whether it's medical, factory, grocery stores, retail, they're going to show you, you're going to go through plenty of training to learn how to use what you're going to be using correctly. Listen and follow directions. Do not take shortcuts, because shortcuts only end up ruining the equipment, or possibly you cutting off a finger, or maybe if you're in the medical field, hurting a patient. So please always use the tools and machinery properly and correctly, and make sure that you have proper training. And if somebody asks you to do something that's not in the scope of your practice or your training, don't do it. Because if something happens, you're going to be held accountable because you did something you were not trained for. So just keep these things in mind. And now
Yes.
over to Jen.
Well, I really liked how you tied in the responsibility, accountability that we went over for last month, because
Yeah.
if you're given a list of responsibilities, you're going to be held accountable to get those. Let's say you have 10 things that you are responsible for, be it people, equipment, whatever. If you do not do those things properly, you can not only hurt yourself or somebody else, you can also be held legally accountable. and you can go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not above that. And the higher your profession is, the higher up your profession is, the more legally accountable you are. So you have to be very careful with that. And even though you're moving from job to job, one thing about that would be you don't want to go in with this entitled attitude like, oh, I already know this, I already know this job. Every job, every new place has their own culture, and they might have different procedures for doing it a certain way. And I can tell you, as a trainer, there's nothing more irritating than having somebody say, I know, and then they mess up on it, and you try and tell them, you're like, well, you already said that you knew. That's a really good way to get people at your new place to hate you
Mm-hmm.
and to not be helpful because you want to go in with an arrogant attitude because you think that you know it all. There's always something to learn at your workplace. And I would have to say that that has to deal with safety too, wouldn't you, Debbie? Because if you
I,
have everybody against you because you're going in with an arrogant attitude, you're not going to be safe because
no,
nobody's going to want to help you.
nope. And you're not going to be protected by your teammates. And another thing is, when you go into a job and you're going through training, you are required to sign off on everything that you've been trained on. So if you screw up and don't do something that you signed off that you were trained how to do, and you showed that you were proficient in doing, and then you go ahead and you do a shortcut or you do something your own way, it's a legal obligation for them to turn around and file suit against you.
And they will say, well, she's been trained. She signed right here that he or she understood and accepted those responsibilities. Almost any smart workplace will do that because they're not going to take the hit for you
No.
not doing your part. They're not. I mean, if we have people that work for us, we're not going to, um, the people on our team, we're not dealing with that. We train them, we give out our expectations, and we need to do that. I did that even when I was teaching with my students, and
Mm-hmm.
I would show them how to do something or give them a paper and say that you're, or an assignment. I give out the expectations. I made them sign a paper down. They were third graders, and I made them sign the paper saying
Right.
that they know what their homework is, they know what their assignments are, so that they couldn't say to their parents, I never received the paper. I didn't know.
Right.
No, sweetheart, you did know.
Right.
Um, so it's protection. They're going to protect themselves.
Exactly.
And also, HR is not your friend.
No.
HR is not your friend. They are there to protect the company.
Correct.
So if you go in complaining about this or that, about your boss or your management or the way that the company is running, that's the first way to find yourself on the other side of the door.
Yep. Exactly.
So, unless it has to do with something legal that they're obliged to do, as in you not getting your break, that they're going to be held accountable for. I was at a place where they tried to tell me, well, we don't take breaks here. And it
Yeah.
was during 2020. And I'm not going to mention the place, but it was just like I said, I, I was working in a lab, wasn't um, where we worked, but they said, "Oh, well, we don't take breaks." I mean, I'm wearing the face mask, the shield, everything like that. Oh yeah, I needed a break to take all that stuff off so I could breathe for a little bit.
Right.
And they were trying to tell me that, "Oh no, we don't take breaks here. We just, the whole shift is like a break." And I said, "Maybe for you." I said, "But it's the law.
Yep.
It's the law. I'm going to take a break."
Mm-hmm.
And you have to insist on that. And if you let them get away with it, that's on you, because they will try, especially the younger you are,
Oh
the
God,
more
yes.
they're going to try and take advantage of you
Yep.
because you don't know the rules. or they're trying to get you to you get to work. If they say be there at 7:45, and they say, well, we want you to be there at 7:30 because we're going to have a quick meeting, and you come in, you better clock in. If you're
Yep.
an hourly employee, you clock in for every minute that you're there. And when you're on your lunch, you shouldn't have to uh, do work related things
No.
on your lunchtime or beforehand. And if they try to tell you that, oh, don't clock in, we're just gonna, or we're gonna come in and then you're gonna leave early to try and make up for that time. No, as long as you are working, you clock in, and if that goes into overtime, that's their problem. And when
Correct.
you're done, you're done. Um, they like to take advantage of young people and blur those lines and expect you to do things on your own time without getting paid. So you better keep track of your time. All the time that you are working, you better keep track of it, and you let them know ahead of time. Okay, well, it's after the hours. How should I put those hours in? Don't let them play you for a fool.
Correct. Correct.
Have you
Yep.
had experience with that, Debbie? People
Um,
trying to do that to you?
no. No.
I kind of, they might not, whatever, but I know you, and
But I've
I
seen
would never,
them.
but you just never know.
Yeah, I've seen them, and I used to tell my staff if we had to come in early in that, I would tell them go clock in. It's like, but it's no, you're here, you're here before your clock in time, clock in. Now, there were times where we had meetings and people came in before their shift, and it's like that's fine. You clock in for this meeting. When the meeting's done, you can clock back out and you can go home, you can go do whatever you want, or, I mean, it's up to you. But while you're here on premises, you clock in. You're not coming to the meeting on your time and then hanging around until your shift starts. So it's like you're getting paid for every minute you step foot on the premise.
Well, absolutely. I know when I was teaching at one of the schools that I was at, it was salaried. And,
Yeah.
which can be there's advantages and
Oh,
disadvantages
yes,
to
there are.
salaried versus hourly. I loved the salaried in that when I was done with my work, I could just go home and I didn't have to worry about my pay being
Right.
deducted. But at the same time, if you had extra meetings or extra this or that,
Mm-hmm.
you just had to suck it up.
Yep.
Or school performances or whatever, which I didn't mind because I knew what I was getting myself into, and
Exactly.
I did that. But I think right after the year that I left, I heard that they went to hourly, and the principal got upset because she was wondering why no everybody insisted on clocking in for the extra little school meetings or the extra little
Yeah.
meetings. And like, well, and she was just dumbfounded as to why people on their own time would would just willingly go and do stuff for that's job related and not clock in. If you're an hourly employee, you clock in.
Exactly.
So,
Get
and
paid for
that goes
the time
in
there.
with setting clear boundaries. You want to, and we talked about boundaries too. You set your clear boundaries with your work too, being
Yep.
cautious not to share personal details with your coworkers and clients. They're not your friends. You don't share your personal details, and you trust your instincts. If
Mm-hmm.
something gets uncomfortable, or especially in solo meetings, sometimes people want to isolate you and and lay the line, and there's no witnesses. So if it's your boss or somebody else that you have an uncomfortable feeling about, that they might be trying to take advantage of you on a situation, or maybe harassment, always have a witness with you in on the meeting,
Right.
and keep it legal. I think they do that even with the doctors. When I worked at the doctor's office, he was a male OB doctor, and he always had a female
Oh,
in
yes.
the room with him
Oh,
to
yes.
protect himself, so that they couldn't nobody one way or the other could claim that something happened because there was a witness. So you want to protect yourself that way too, that there's a witness and documentation for things that you have suspicions on, of things that aren't right, and be clear with your boundaries up front, and just say, what's this meeting about? You have a right to know what these things are. And okay, well, um, if we're going to have a meeting on this, I'm going to have a witness um, with me. I want to have a third party so that we can document what's going on, and that way everything's legal.
Yeah,
And if they're upset about that, then that means that probably they were trying to take advantage of you. That's a confirmation that it's not an above the board meeting.
right.
So, and these things are important, especially for workplace safety, because it's your way of life. If you're going to maintain your paycheck coming in to pay those bills, and your work is in danger of you not being able to receive a paycheck, that's going to be a big problem for you. So you really need to think about these things. Um, and then, Debbie, I think you covered it already with the workplace safety protocols
Yes,
and procedures, and even like with the physical building, like your house, with the if things are broken, you need to know where the first aid kits are, the panic buttons,
exactly.
broken locks, poor lighting, and suspicious activity of who doesn't belong in certain areas. Most people will have a workplace badge ID. Ask them, do you have access to be back here? Because if you don't ask, they're going to just go back forth, and they're going to be able to jeopardize the company, which will, if that company is jeopardized, then your pay is jeopardized.
Exactly. Exactly.
What are your thoughts, Debbie, on digital security, like with passwords and computers and things like that?
Um, well, that
Because that's another one.
those are good. I mean, when you're at work, uh, everybody's using pretty much the same computers sometime or another, and I think it's good to have your own, but don't give them to anybody. I mean, there's too many times with somebody, with myself. I mean, as a supervisor, they would say, "Oh, my password isn't working. Can I use yours?" And it's like, no, you can call IT and get them to reset your password. And in the meantime, I'll have somebody else take over what you were doing. But no, don't give your password, because it's so easy for somebody to then go on, use your password and do something that's not really legal. And you're accountable for that because it was your
Yeah,
bad.
and you take the hit for that.
That's
And
right.
I would venture to say that too for equipment that you're responsible for. I
Exactly.
know, I'll give an example. When I was in the military, these dental kits were, I would say, I think they were $3,000, up to 3,000, $2,000 or $3,000. And if one piece was missing, one of the dental instruments and things like that,
Hmm.
I think you had to replace the whole kit.
Probably.
It wasn't just you could buy a new thing, it was the whole kit.
Right.
So somebody had wanted to borrow something out of my kit, and they're like, could I just use this? And I said, sure. So I did a sub hand receipt and made him sign. I was going to make him sign for it. And he's like, well, can I just use it? And I said, you can after you sign for this, saying that you have the piece for that. And if something happens to it and I don't get it back, you're accountable, not me. Well,
Exactly.
I don't want to sign for it. And I said, well, then you're not getting the piece. You're not going to use it. I don't
Right.
know what happened to yours, but I'm not taking the hit for you. And you know, and they gave us um, protection gear. Like when I was in Germany, they gave us jackets, the oh, I forget, the Gore-Tex jackets and the pants and whatnot. They gave us everything, all the PPE that we needed,
Yep.
but they looked that over with a fine tooth comb. If you damaged it or it was dirty, they would not accept it back. Or,
Right.
of course, it was natural wear and tear. You could exchange it and things like that. But you know, giving it to somebody to use, and not having accountability for it, so they lose it. You don't have proof that they have it. Your name's on the paperwork. They're going to come looking for you, just
Ex-
like financial stuff, creditors, whatever, whose ever name it is going to be you, and you're not going to be able to use the blame game if you don't have any documentation.
Right.
Document everything. Document everything. That's the
I
most
agree.
important thing I can say
I agree.
in the workplace to
And
protect yourself.
that's how you'll keep
Because
yourself safe.
people want to do whatever they can without having to be accountable. So they're going to look for somebody stupid, not really, I'll say stupid, just
Night.
naive. And if you're not, um, after a while, I think it does become stupidity because the older you get, and if you're still acting like a I'll just say, a very naive teenager and you're older, that would be stupid
Yeah,
because there's got to be at some point that you need to be able to be accountable for the things that you're responsible for. And the older you get, the more privileges you get. Driving, living on your own, all of these things are a privilege. It's not
exactly.
a right. And you have to be able to handle those responsibilities, handle all of these responsibilities at the workplace, at home, maintaining a car. These are all the things that you need to do just to exist. And if you don't have your documentation and your name is on the paper, you're going to be the one that takes the hit legally.
Exactly.
And when things get legally, you go to jail.
Correct. And remember, when you're at work, these are your workplace team. They're not your friends, they're not your family. So, you know, do not be afraid if you feel that somebody is at work under the influence, which could not only jeopardize their life, but yours or the company's welfare. You have to report it. Don't be afraid of repercussions because the repercussions are going to come back to you if anybody knew that you realized that this was going on. And you're not going to be the only person that noticed this. And on that, I want to say,
Oh,
remember, stay sharp, speak up, and protect yourself because a stupid oversight cuts your future short, and your paycheck shouldn't come with hidden risks.
right. And these people that you think are your friends will
They're
be
not.
they will be the first one to throw you under the bus when it comes between you keeping your job and them keeping their job.
That's
And
right.
if because they will be the first ones to say, well, uh, you know what? I may have been drunk, but Debbie saw me drunk. So, and Debbie's a manager.
Yep.
And so it must be okay. So
Yep.
guess who gets fired with me?
Yep.
Debbie gets fired with me because Debbie saw me drunk and didn't do anything about it, if that were the case. Just an
Exactly.
example, of course, but you know, people, you'd be surprised on who your real friends are when when they're in the hot seat because they're going to do anything they can to protect themselves. I know myself, I set clear boundaries and I say, tell people, don't tell me things that are damaging that's going to cause me to have to report to you. I said, because I'm not loyal. I'm here to work. I'm here to make money. And if you tell me something that is reportable, a mandatory report, I'm going to tell, and you are going to not only be under that bus, you will be under the back tire. And, you know, and because I'm not going to lose my job because of you.
Exactly.
And
And
so
that
just cut it
happy
right there.
on that happy note, we're going to end this and just
Yes,
remember,
we are.
work safe, stay smart, know your rights, and adulting with your eyes open.
Yes, that part. And stay curious. Bye,
Bye, guys.
everybody.